partying, making the scene with Diddy, and hitting the clubs of South Beach with our signature style.
As most people know, the entertainment industry is an ecosystem that thrives on collaborations. And this is the reason you see some of your favorites come together to push different projects, which helps everyone out in the long run. However, what we don't see most time is the fact that things actually go sour between some of these celebrities, making it very difficult for the involved parties to actually join forces. The executives in the industry do the much they can to make sure that some things do not get out of hand, but in some cases, it's just safer and more beneficial to everyone to let sleeping dogs lie. Interested to learn about some of these extreme cases? Join us as we uncover an uncommon part of the entertainment industry, showing you the top 10 celebrities that have let their feud make collaborations impossible. 10. Charlie Sheen and Selma Blair. The case between Charlie Sheen and Selma Blair was very much unexpected, as both seemed to have very strong chemistry on screen. They were working together on the show Anger Management, but everything hit the wall in 2013 when the tension between the two started heating up, leading to Selma being dropped from the show. Everything seemed to be going well until Selma voiced her concerns about Charlie's conduct on set. She seemed to have been uncomfortable with some irregularities that she observed with Charlie and voiced out to have them corrected. However, this didn't sit well with Charlie, who was also the executive producer of the show. He obviously felt betrayed and hurt by the remarks and was bent on ending the collaboration with Selma. The confrontation became heated, and it was obvious with every passing day that Charlie wouldn't be continuing the show with Selma. When other people tried to find a middle ground for the two, it didn't quite work out, as Charlie was already demanding that Selma leave the show, with the threat that he would if she didn't. Being the major cast on the show, the production team couldn't just risk that, so they had to take the easy way out by writing Selma's character off the show. Fans were shocked by the whole encounter, with some believing that Charlie would have been a little more considerate with his decision. But the damage had already been done. A lot of people didn't like Charlie for that, and many didn't hide their displeasure with the whole situation. This gave him quite a reputation and made other people skeptical about working with characters like Charlie. The two have never worked together ever since. 9. Bruce Willis and Kevin Smith. Bruce Willis and Kevin Smith had every chance of collaboration broken after they both came together to make the 2010 movie, Cop Out. The movie was directed by Willis and was expected to be one of those spectacular movies that would turn heads. However, the movie turned out to be a flop, which strained the relationship between the two actors. They traded blames for what might have gone wrong, further straining their work relationship. Smith accused Willis of not being so interested in the project, pointing out that he seemed unconcerned with the whole process, right from the beginning. To him, this must have been what made the movie a flop, earning it very bad reviews from critics. They both clearly had serious issues with how things should be run, and this wasn't a good way for them to work together. This affected the on-screen flow, affecting the end product. This feud was further compounded by the fact that they didn't even end up making profits to cover their budget for the movie. People didn't just find the movie interesting, and this was bad for any future business that the two had planned out at the time. Smith later described the relationship that they had on set as soul-crushing, showing that he was deeply pained by the whole outcome. Smith had questioned his career choice at some point. 8. Lindsay Lohan and America Ferrera. The feud between Lindsay Lohan and America Ferrera originally started back in 2008 when Lohan made a guest appearance on the hit TV show Ugly Betty, which starred Ferrera in the lead role of Betty Suarez. It had been a 6-episode arc, but the tension on the set grew, leading to the number of parts for Lohan being reduced to 4 episodes. Lohan was brought on board to play Kimmy Keegan, a high school nemesis of Betty's who pops up again in her life. But the match was doomed almost from the outset. Reports circulated that Lohan behaved irrationally and did little to conduct herself in a professional manner on set. She showed up late to set several times, delaying shooting, and the tone she set with the cast and crew was demanding. The tension between Lohan and Ferrera reached a peak when Lohan's character was supposed to pull down Betty's pants as part of a prank. Sources said Ferrera, who was supposed to do the scene, was very uncomfortable, and things became so strained that everybody there could feel it. Lohan supposedly thought Ferrera was cold and unfriendly, which heightened the tension between the two. Things got so bad that Lohan felt she wasn't even welcome on the set anymore. The producers of the show cut down her guest arc from 6 episodes to just 4 at a time when all the animosity was growing, and there were new allegations about Lohan being a disruptive influence. Quite obviously, by then, any hopes for a decent working relationship between Lohan and the Ugly Betty team had irreparably soured. 7. James Franco and Tyrese Gibson. The situation between James Franco and Tyrese Gibson seems to be a bit of a funny one. The issue between the two seems to stem from the fact that James Franco took his roles too seriously, which Tyrese Gibson had a first-hand experience with when they filmed Annapolis back in 2006. The movie had a lot of scenes when the two had to go physical, but James seemed to have taken the role personally, delivering real heavy blows on Tyrese, even during the training periods. James has been known to be into method acting, which allows him to body his roles, but this didn't seem to work so well on this occasion. Tyrese didn't share the same strategy with James and was caught off guard, resulting in Tyrese having some hurtful experiences, especially when they were enacting the boxing scenes. What was supposed to be choreographed combat turned into real painful blows, creating significant tension between the two actors. Tyrese later expressed strong dissatisfaction with James's approach, stressing that the method made the environment hostile for everyone. Throughout the shoot, Tyrese paid more attention to not getting caught in the intensity of James's act, to the point that he didn't really enjoy the process. This made him come to the conclusion that he would not want to be on the same set with James ever again. While method acting can be great, helping actors portray their characters more effectively, the case between James Franco and Tyrese Gibson is a perfect example that it can get in the way of other people in the same environment. This stresses the application of moderation, which could have made all the difference between James and Tyrese. This might have eliminated the possibility of some collaborations that would have changed the industry. I guess we will never know now. 6. Shia LaBeouf and Alec Baldwin. 2013 was the year the relationship between Shia LaBeouf and Alec Baldwin saw a sour end. The two were working on the Broadway production, Orphans, which they were both set to star in. However, a series of unexpected events led to a bad blood between the two, resulting in the departure of Shia LaBeouf from the production. The issue started with the differing approaches that both actors have on how they go about acting. While Shia LaBeouf leaned more towards method acting, resulting in a more intense acting style, which was opposed to Alec Baldwin's more traditional and reserved approach. The two reportedly disagreed a lot on set, which didn't turn out so well for the production team. Daniel Sullivan was the play director and opted to help the two work out their issues together. In a later post that LaBeouf shared on social media, which detailed the interactions that happened between the three, as they tried to find a resolution, LaBeouf apologized for his approach, but also accused Alec of not being committed to the project. Alec also traded blame, telling him that his intense approach wasn't the way to go either. This was when the public got to know that the issue between the two was really intense. Sadly, this disagreement resulted in LaBeouf leaving the show shortly after, citing creative differences as the major reason for the move. Some, however, believe that the move might have been induced by what he shared online and wasn't exactly a voluntary move. He was replaced by Ben Foster, but the impression that has been made wasn't so pleasant. With the feud, people got to learn about issues that could easily change things in the entertainment industry and how it was important to cast people that are compatible to an extent. 5. Kathy Griffin and Anderson Cooper. Before 2017, Kathy and Anderson had been working together on the New Year's Eve broadcast in New York for nearly a decade, and it seemed that both of them were just meant together. However, things kinda took an ugly turn in 2017, when Kathy took one of her comic acts too far. She posed for a photo where she had a mock severed head resembling the then-President Donald Trump, which didn't sit well with a lot of people. The act was seen as outrightly disrespectful, and Anderson wasn't having it at all. Aside from Anderson, the picture actually caused quite a stir in the political space, and the blowback was severe. When the issue started heating up, Anderson and the rest of the crew at CNN's New Year's Eve broadcast sought ways to distance themselves from Kathy and her unchecked depiction. Anderson quickly took to X, then Twitter, and tweeted that he was appalled by the image, and that it was clearly disgusting and completely inappropriate. From this point, it was obvious that Kathy was in for a long ride, as the closest ally she had wasn't clearly on her side on that one. To make matters worse, Kathy was fired from hosting the New Year's Eve broadcast, and CNN clearly wanted nothing to do with her. With this singular incident, Kathy felt the ripple effect in other deals that she had at the time, as there was no one that wanted to be associated with what she did, for the fear of the potential blowbacks, which cost her a great deal at the time. Since then, we haven't seen Kathy and Anderson back together, as they both continued with the newly established boundaries. 4. Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron. Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron had a tense time on the set of Mad Max Fury Road, and it ultimately broke them. The problem seemed to have stemmed from the grueling shoot and their clashing personalities. Mad Max Fury Road was a physically and emotionally brutal film, shot in the Namibian desert under George Miller's exacting and chaotic direction. Both Hardy and Theron were playing tough roles that pushed them to their limits. The shoot was infamous for long hours, extreme conditions, and constant delays, all of which was stressful. As the shoot went on, the tension between Hardy and Theron grew. Theron, a pro who's known for her discipline, was frustrated with Hardy's more erratic and intense method of acting. Hardy felt the pressure of being part of a beloved franchise and often clashed with Theron over creative differences and on-set behavior. One of the most infamous moments was when Hardy turned up late to set and caused a delay. Theron was fed up with the unprofessionalism and confronted Hardy, which led to a full-blown argument that made their relationship even worse. They barely spoke to each other for the rest of the shoot and communicated through intermediaries. After the film was released, both Hardy and Theron spoke about the difficulties they had working together. Hardy even apologized for his behavior. Despite the film's success, the experience was so bad it killed any chance of them working together again. Their toxic relationship became one of Hollywood's most infamous behind-the-scenes stories. 3. Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey. Initially, everyone thought that the collaboration between Nicki and Carey would have been a good idea, as both could easily have everyone going off with their combined talents, but that turned out not to be the case. Fans just saw how much of a bad idea it was for both of them to collaborate, back in 2013, when both were drafted as judges on American Idol. The two never seemed to agree on anything on the show, which created a very toxic atmosphere between the two, leading to open confrontations. It wasn't long before what everyone thought was a disagreement that they just had on professional matters turned personal. They started taking jabs at each other, and it became obvious that the two should probably not be working together. The issue got to its peak when Carey's team revealed something shocking that Nicki had said to her at some point. They said that Nicki said, "If I had a gun, I would shoot her," at some point, referring to Carey, which was a threat that the latter took seriously. Celebrities usually have feuds among themselves, but the inclusion of physical threats took the whole thing to a whole new level. Fans were taken by the outcome of things, and it was all over the media. Carey had said that she didn't take the threat lightly, and that she had to double her security detail at that point to prevent anything from happening. However, with Nicki realized that she might have made a serious mistake, She came forward to make light of the situation by saying that Carey was just being overly dramatic and was trying to play the victim. Before anyone could know it, what seemed like a good collaboration turned sour, with no promise of ever changing in the future. With the involvement of physical threats, it was just better that they both were kept apart forever. This showed that it was probably not a good idea to bring together two people with strong personalities in the same space. We may likely never see them doing anything together ever again. 2. Tin Fey and Paris Hilton. Today, everyone remembers that heated moment between Tina Fey and Paris Hilton on the Saturday Night Live show in 2005. At the time, Tina was the head writer of the show and also played a part as a cast member, which was why she appeared on the show with Paris Hilton on that fateful night. Tina has been popular for our comic sense but still maintained a very strong personality, which might have collided with Paris's own personality. Behind the scenes, Tina was reportedly very unsatisfied with Hilton's approach as a host, as she claimed that Hilton didn't seem invested in her duty as a host. Tina also claimed that Hilton might have been guilty of displaying some kind of arrogance, as she expected everything to be as she wanted, neglecting some of Tina's input on the show. Nobody knew how heated that encounter was until later, when Tina featured in an interview with Howard Stern. It became obvious that Tina was pained when she referred to Hilton as a piece of sh*T, pointing out her self-centeredness and rude behaviors. Tina was clearly not happy with the way Hilton had treated her and other cast members of the show, and wasn't going to hide her feelings. From this point, it was clear to everyone that this was the end of any kind of collaboration between the two, and any attempt to change that might have some serious outcomes. Tina was really great at working with people, but it seemed Hilton didn't just give the vibe that she wanted. 1. Kiefer Sutherland and Freddie Prinze Jr. Kiefer Sutherland and Freddie Prinze Jr.'s feud started on the set of 24 back in 2010. Prinze Jr. had described the experience as a nightmare, and it killed any chance of them working together again. Freddie Prinze Jr. joined 24 in its 8th season and played the role of Cole Ortiz, a young and ambitious agent alongside Sutherland's Jack Bauer. But Prinze Jr. found the set to be tough, mostly because of Sutherland. In a 2014 interview, Prinze Jr. said he had a hard time working with Sutherland, calling him unprofessional and difficult to work with. Explaining himself further, he said that Sutherland was always late to set, and when he got there he had a bad attitude and it was unpleasant for everyone. He also said Sutherland made him take off his shoes to look taller in scenes, which added to his frustration. Prinze Jr. said his time on 24 was so bad it almost made him quit acting altogether. Sutherland's reps responded to the allegations, saying they had never heard any complaints from Prinze Jr. during the time they worked together. Other co-stars and crew members had praised Sutherland's work ethic, so it's hard to know what to believe. The public spat ended any professional relationship between the two, and Prinze Jr.'s comments about Sutherland became a hot topic in Hollywood about the challenges of working on a high-pressure set like 24. Which other celebrity feud do you know about? Let us know in the comments, and we will see you in the next one.